Today, I'm going to show you a pretty interesting DIY trick for temporarily repairing a leaking section of pipe. It may look simple, but one careless step could cause water to spray everywhere. So the first thing I do is shut off the water valve and make sure all the pressure inside the pipe has been released. Once the work area is dry and safe, I prepare a piece of an old bicycle inner tube. I cut the rubber into a small piece along the marked line, making sure it is the right size for the area that needs to be repaired. Next comes a rather interesting step. I take a small piece of cotton from a cotton swab and use a small amount of 502 super glue to secure the rubber patch. I work very carefully to avoid getting the glue on my fingers, then wait for the adhesive to bond properly. After that, I gently insert the rubber patch into the pipe and carefully position it over the leaking area. Once the patch is in the correct position, I continue securing it with the glue. Every movement has to be gentle, because even a small mistake could cause the patch to move out of place. After finishing, I wait for the glue to set. Then, using a pair of scissors, I carefully cut away the remaining cotton swab from the fixed position. And that's today's DIY repair trick. What do you think about this method? Most importantly, where are you watching this video from? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to see how many different countries are part of our community. Before getting into the main part, I'm going to prepare a very simple but surprisingly interesting material, a piece of foam. I cut the foam into very small pieces, just the right size to place precisely over the area that needs to be repaired. These tiny pieces of foam may not look like much, but in a moment, they'll be combined with 502 superglue to create a repair layer. And now, the most interesting part officially begins. I place a small piece of foam over the area that needs to be repaired, then carefully apply a small amount of 502 superglue on top. The glue quickly soaks into the material and begins forming a strong bond. I then place another small piece of foam and apply more glue over it. I keep repeating the same process step by step. Place the foam, apply the glue, let it bond, add another piece of foam. With each additional layer, the repair gradually becomes thicker and covers more of the damaged area. I work slowly and carefully because even a small mistake could cause the foam to shift out of position. From the outside, the individual pieces of foam gradually disappear beneath the layers of glue, forming a thicker bonded patch. I simply keep repeating the process until the entire area that needs to be repaired is completely covered. At this point, the job is almost finished. I'll give the glue enough time to fully dry and set before checking the repair. And that's what makes simple DIY tricks so interesting. With just a small piece of foam and some glue, we can create a surprisingly effective-looking repair method. Safety note: 502 super glue bonds extremely quickly and can generate heat when reacting with certain materials. Use it carefully, avoid contact with skin and eyes, and always work in a well-ventilated area. Now that the repair layer is completely filled, it's time to give it a clean and finished look. I take a small knife and carefully scrape away the excess material, bringing the repaired area as close as possible to the original shape of the pipe. I work slowly and gently, making sure not to damage the surrounding surface. Once the excess material has been removed, I take a piece of sandpaper and start smoothing the repaired area. Back and forth, I carefully sand the surface until it feels much smoother and more even. Little by little, the rough edges disappear, and the repair begins to blend in with the rest of the pipe. And just like that, the repair work is finally complete. But there's still one important moment left: the test. This is the moment when we find out whether all those careful steps have actually worked. Before we start the test, I have one quick question for you. Have you subscribed to my channel yet? If you haven't, please take a second to subscribe and support the channel. Your subscription is a huge motivation for me to keep creating more interesting DIY projects and repair experiments. Alright, now let's begin the test. I slowly open the water valve and let the water flow through the pipe. Then I open the faucet and allow the water to run for a while. Now comes the moment I've been waiting for. I carefully inspect the repaired area, looking closely for even the smallest sign of moisture or leakage. At first, everything looks good. I wait a little longer and check again. The repaired section remains completely dry. No drops of water, no dripping, and no visible signs of leakage. That's a great result. After all the preparation, cutting, layering, gluing, smoothing, and waiting, the repaired area has passed this simple test. And that brings today's DIY project to an end. What do you think about this repair method? Would you try a similar DIY experiment yourself? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed the video.